Alright, hi guys, how are we doing? If you remember, we are now on to section 3 or part 3 of working with decimals, and if you remember, we are now on to division of decimals, or doing division using decimals and getting decimal answers it'll end up being. So if this is a carry on from an earlier part of the lesson, then we don't need an LO, but I'd like you to put this title in, short division, no remainders. If this is a brand new lesson for you guys, then the LO will be how to do division with no remainders and with remainders. Alright, so that would be our LO if this was a new lesson. If this is a carry on from the multiplication section, then just put down this little aside here, underline it, short division, no remainders. So taking a look at short division, just reminding you guys how we're going to do short division. So we're just going to take a look at one of these I do ones. It's a very simple I do one, just to remind ourselves. We're going to just do this first one here, 95 divided by 5. Just remind ourselves how we go about doing our division. So you might know off the top of your head that 95 divided by 5 would be 19, because you might be able to do, well, 5 goes into 50 10 times, and then 5 goes into the remainder 45 9 times. So you might be able to figure that out. But otherwise, I mean, how do we actually know that? Okay, so 95 divided by 5. So you might know it's 19. You might have been clever enough to know that. You might be able to figure that out in your head. But we also need to prove it and know how to do that using the old bus stop method that we've used before in the past, that you might use from primary or even earlier on. And just a little reminder, just a little freshener for you, so we can prove that that's right. So how would you do that? Okay, so remember what you do is you have your 5 here, and then we have our bus stop as you would, and then 95 here. So 5 divided by 95. And remember, this is how we do it. Okay, so first of all, we look at 5, and how many times does 5 go into 9? Well, we know that 5 goes into 9 one time. Okay, because 1 5 is 5. 2 5s would be 10, so that would be too many. If 5 doesn't go into 9 more than once. So we know that it's going to be a 1 on top here, but of course we know that there's then 4 left over, so the remainder 4 comes and joins this second number. Okay, and then of course we go back to the 5 and take a look at 5, and how many times 5 goes into 45, and of course we should be able to use our basic times tables knowledge, or if you wanted to get your times tables grid out of your journal, like I always say you should do for almost every maths lesson, you should have that grid out. Then you know that 5 goes into 45 9 times. So 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, so we know then that we've got a 9 here. So we can see that it's the same answer as we just, we kind of, some of us might have known it or been able to figure it out just in our brains or with a bit of different scribbling out. But just using our bus stop method, we can see that it proves that it's exactly the same. And this is going to be important, doing that method, because when it comes to a bit trickier numbers, it's much harder to do just in your head. So we actually need to be able to write it down and figure it out. So one of the next ones that it asks us to do together is this one. I'm not going to come out of this screen just yet. We're just going to do this like this together. Okay, which is 9,054. Okay, and it's asking for 9,054. It's asking us to divide that, okay, by 18. Okay, so you see, you wouldn't be able to do that one just in your head. You won't be able to do that one. It's much harder to do scribbling it down in doing different ways, or guessing, or trial and error. So we need to actually go back and do exactly the same things we've just done before. So we take our 18. First thing we do is see how many times 18 goes into 9. Well, 18 can't go into 9, can it? Okay, it's impossible, because 18 is a bigger number than 9. So what we want to do is we move along. Okay, first of all we put a 0 above, because we know that 18 can't go into 9. So the next thing we do is go 18 and we take a look at 90. Okay, we take a look there at 90. So how many times does 18 go into 90? So this, again, it's a little bit of a tricky one. How are we going to figure that out? There's no 18 times tables, is there? So how are you going to know this? Well, let's then slow this down and just do some basic kind of math. So let's start off over here and we'll just put 18 down there. All right. Now, if we wanted to add another 18 to that, okay, so 2 18s, we'd add 18 to 18 and we'd get 36. So we keep going again, see how close we can get to 90 by adding these 18s. Well, let's add another 18 in. All right, so another 18 on top of 36 would be 54. Okay. Can we keep going? Have we reached 90 yet? Not yet. So let's add another 18 in. Okay. So then we get to 72. Getting closer to 90, but still not there. So let's add another 18. And look what happens if you add another 18 onto 72. We end up getting to 90. Okay, so that's just by using sort of our basic addition skills. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can see that 18 goes into 90 5 times. So we can come back in here and see 18 goes into 90, and then we can put our 5 in right here. All right, so there we go. 18 goes into 95 times. Good, so we're moving along now nicely. So let's come back to 18 again and go to our next number. 18 goes into 5. Again, we know that it can't go into 5. That's obvious. All right, 18 is bigger than 5, so we must put a 0. So then what do? Well, just the same as before. We come back and we take the number next to it into account. We go 18. How many times does 18 go into 54? Well, you've already written down, let's have a look. You've written down your multiples of 18 down the side here. We've already got them waiting there for us, and we can see here that 1, 2, 3, there's 54. Okay, so we can see that 18 goes into 54 3 times. So it's dead simple. We just come back in and we put our 3 in there. So we had the question, okay, 9,054, okay, divided by 18. Our answer is 503. Now, you won't be able to do that any other way without using a calculator. All right, you won't be able to just guess that one or figure that one out in your head. You'd be very, very good if you could. So that's the method that we have to use, and it's just an extended version of the bus stop method that you may have used from the past. So, sorry, let's just go back. Pause the video now, please, and copy that down. Okay, copy that down exactly how I've done it, with the multiples of 18 down the side as well, so you remember how to get those, and lay it out exactly the same, please, so you can see how that's done, and that you can copy that technique for when we do our questions together in just a moment. So please pause the video and copy that down, everybody, now. Okay, so you've copied that down, so you've got your example and you know how to do that. So we're going to come back in here now, and we're going to scroll down to our questions. So we've done quite a little bit there of reminding ourselves how to do it. You've got 9 questions here in a similar form, using exactly the same method that we've just used there. So 9 questions, I'll give you 3 minutes for each question. So that's 27 minutes plus a little bonus 3, so half an hour. You've got so between 25 minutes and half an hour here to get these 9 questions done. Take your time, follow the exact same technique as we just did, and let's practice those and get on with those. Okay, pause the video now. Thanks very much. Okay, so green pen's out now because we need to mark these guys and take a look at our answers. So there we go. Get your green pens out, ticks and crosses, and make the changes. Okay, make the changes to anything you've got wrong. Go back, look in, see where you made the errors. And what I'd like you to do now is I'm going to pause the video again, take 5 minutes to go back and make any of the changes to any of the ones that you didn't get right, and fill in any that you left blank, because I want you to be able to have a look at that. You need to be able to know how you got those answers. So 5 minutes and then have a little look. Okay, pause that video now. Thank you very much. Okay, so Here we're going to go on to the next little subsection. So I want you to do another little mini side title. So short division, remainders. So we know that sometimes you don't always get a whole number when you're dividing. You might get some left over. You might get some remainders, right? So what does that actually mean by a remainder? Well, you don't want to. We're not in primary school anymore. We don't want to say 5. If we look at this first one here, 5 goes into 40. 43, sorry. So we don't want to say 43 divided by 5 is 8 remainder 3, which is what it would be. We don't want to say 8 remainder 3. That's lower level stuff. We want to figure out what our decimals would be, what point it would be. 8 point something, all right? It wouldn't be 8 remainder 3. We would have 8 point something. And we want to know how to figure out that point something. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So stay with me on this one. Because one of the first examples that we had there was quite a simple one. And again, we're just going to do it together and then prove how we know what we know. Okay, so the first one of the ones there was 43 divided by 10. Okay, 43 divided by 10, that's what we were talking about. Okay, so we have our 10. We have a bus stop, and we have our 4, we have our 3. So I'll make that a little bit longer for this. So 10 into 4, using the same technique as before, we know doesn't go, can't go. All right, 10 is bigger than 4, so it can't fit in it. So let's take a look at 10 going into 43. Well, 1 10 is 10, 2 10s is 20, 3 10s is 30, 4 10s is 40, and then 5 10s is 50. That's too much, so we go back to 4 10s is 40. So 10 goes into 43 4 times. And we've got a remainder then of 3, which we're going to put here. But what can we do with this guy? Because we can't add him to any number. He's just like a little floating number there. So what we do is this little trick. We put in a decimal point on our answer right there. And once we put in that decimal point, it allows us to put a cheeky bonus 0 after that 3. Yeah. So the decimal point allows us to add that 0 in. Then we can go back to our 10 and say 10. How many times does 10 go into 30? Well, 1 10 is 10, 2 10s are 20, 3 10s are 30. It's a nice whole number with no remainders. So we can say there 4.3. Okay, so we can say 43 divided by 10 equals 4.3. And we know that anyway, don't we? Because, you know, going back to when we did our multiplying by decimals and with tens the other day and so on, you know, you could remove that there and we know that it's 4.3. So we kind of knew that was happening anyway, but that's how we prove it. Okay, so come back to here, and I want you to take a look at questions A, B, C. Let's go into A, B, C. Just try those for now, those top 3. So try those top 3, A, B, C, and then we're going to show you how to do the slightly more tricky ones in a minute. So pause this now and just do those 3. You've got 10 minutes to try those 3, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the more tricky ones in a second, okay? Okay. Right, so you've done those top 3, and green pen's out, and there are our answers there. Don't want to put the screen too high so you get your other answers coming in, but those are your answers there for A, B and C. So 5 minutes now to mark them, make any changes, see where you went wrong, see where you went right, fill in any blanks you've got. Okay, and then we're going to go on and show you how to do the more difficult ones. Okay. All right. So if we take a look, if we come back and take a look at these difficult ones here. Just trying to find. No. Okay, yeah, here we go. Here we go. Sorry, okay. So this is the one I wanted to show you. Okay, this is a real tricky one. Okay, so 40,347 divided by 8. Now that just seems like it's just far too difficult to do. So how do you get your head around that without a calculator? So let's take a little look at this. Now this is where you've got to pay super attention, because this is where we've got quite a lot of work to do for this one answer. And we've got to stay switched on for this, okay? Stay switched on for this. So here we go. So let's try this one. All right, so 40,347, okay? 40,000, okay, 347. Okay, so stay with me on this. Divided by 8. All right, so everything is just the same as we've done previously. Okay, 8 into 4 we know doesn't go, so it's a 0. 8 into 40, though, we know goes neatly 5 times. Okay, 8 into 3 we know cannot go. 8 into 34. Now, let's think of our 8 times tables. All right, we go 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, and so on. Okay, so we can see 32 is pretty close there. Okay, so we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 times with a remainder of 2. So 8 goes into 34 4 times with a remainder of 2. Now this is where we got to be clever here. So now 8 goes into 27. Okay, well let's look there. 8, 16, 24 is pretty close. So that's 3 times. And we've got a remainder of 3. Now this is where we need to remember what we do. Put in our decimal point, give ourselves a bonus 0. Yeah? Remember what we just did before? Decimal point, bonus 0. All right, so back to it. 8 into 30. Okay, well we know 24 is the nearest one below it. So that's 3 times. But this time we've still got a remainder. The remainder is going to be 6. Okay. So we need to give ourselves another bonus 0. 8 into 60. Using our times table knowledge now. 8 goes into 60. Well, 7 8s are 56. Okay, so we can go 7, 56 with a remainder 4. Okay, and then we've got to put another bonus 0 in. And then finally, 8 into 40. Well, that's fortunately a whole number, because finally you've seen it here. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. Okay, so then we know it goes in 5 times with no remainders. Now I can just get rid of these numbers down the side so we can actually take a look at that. Now that is a lot of work. Okay, that is a lot of work. And we're going to just clear it up as well by just getting rid of that 0 there. So we can see that 40,347, that was our original. 40,347 was our original number there. Okay, there's our original number. That divided by 8 comes to 5,043.375. I mean, that's a lot. That's a big number with a lot of points after decimal places, and but that's how we've got to be able to do that. Remember, we can keep adding on those bonus zeros until we get a whole number with no remainders. Okay, so take a second to copy that down, just like that, please. All right, just like that. We're going to put these in as we go there. Copy that down, and then we're going to try the harder ones and see how you go. Okay, so 2 minutes to copy that down. Okay, and then coming back here, we're going to take a look at the rest of those tricky ones there. So D, E, F, G, H, I. So 6 questions. You got 5 minutes for each question. That's another half an hour. And we'll see how you do. We'll see how you do after that. Okay, maybe 20. Let's call it 25 minutes, and then we'll come back. Okay, 25 minutes. Alright, so green pen's out once more, and we're going to just take one look at these answers, and you can see there's some that are quite tricky there, with lots of decimal points, lots of numbers. See how close you got with those. Take your time now, mark them, cross them, tick them, and have a go at the ones. Sometimes you need to go back when you've got the answer there and figure out how you even got that answer. Take your time to do that in your green pen, and make sure that you've shown that working out and show that you've got some of those answers. And that's it for today. Some hard work there, especially some of those working out decimal points. Division with remainders can be really tricky to get your head round, but as long as you remember you can add in a decimal point and then you can add in your bonus zeros, as many bonus zeros as you want until you finish on a whole number, and then your number is ended. So well done today. I hope it wasn't too confusing. I hope you got your head round it. Well done, and I'll see you soon for some more work on decimals. Okay guys, thanks a lot.